Hello, welcome to Vibin with Ashley Live. I'm your host, Ashley Live. Thank you guys for joining me this evening. Sorry, I'm a little tongue-tied tonight. So tonight's show is going to be incredible. Episode 110. I have the beautiful, talented, incredible musician, singer, songwriter, pianist, Christine Noel will be joining me. She's a Berkeley alum. She sung background vocals for Andy Grammer, JoJo, Leona Lewis, and countless others. Her single Wind was released in May, and she has a lot of good stuff to share with us this evening. Christine is in the room, and we're going to get this interview started. Hi, guys. Hello. Where are you guys tuning in from tonight? Christine!
Hi!
How are you?
Good, how are you? Long time no see.
Yes, your lighting is beautiful, by the way.
I worked it out. I was like, let me get this together.
You have this whole, California glow going on, and I'm totally digging it.
Thank you. A little highlight does the trick here and there. So that's
Lighting, you have to make sure the lighting is on point, because if you have the wrong lighting, when I first started the show, my lighting was off, and I was like, oh, do I look like that for real?
I know, because angles look different. You're like, I don't think I really look like that, but somehow my cheeks are they look so strange from down here. I'm like, this is not normal. But yeah, some practice, and then you finally I look like myself, I guess. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. And I was just introducing you to the room. So with every show, I start with a song lyric. So tonight's song lyric is going to be from one of your songs, Dreams. So I'm going to say a couple lyrics from this song, and then you're going to tell me what this song means to you or the inspiration behind it. Anything that these lyrics remind you of. Cool?
Yeah.
All right. Because I can't seem to shake this, and I can't move ahead. I've been trying so hard to fake that I'm not choking on the words you said.
No. Okay, so I'll tell you the story, and then I'll kind of explain to you. That's from my song Dreams. Plug, everybody. Yeah, so that song, I grew up, which I know you mentioned we're going to talk about, but I grew up very conservative Christian, and so dating wasn't a thing. So I really didn't have a real boyfriend until I was 21. I think it was 21. It was my first real boyfriend.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was very intense. So a long story. But yeah, so then we started dating long distance, somebody I had known for a long time. And then he broke it off. And what he said was, and I felt like such a baby. Now you look back, when you're 21, you feel like you could be I don't know, I feel like I thought I was the age I am now. And you look back and you're like, you didn't know nothing, girl. It's okay. But so then I'm looking back, and he said, I don't think this is really worth it for me anymore. And I just had to be like, oh, that means I'm not worth it. That makes me feel, you know what I mean? He didn't mean it like that. Right. He's weighing it, I get it. But at the time I was like, oh my God, those words were just ringing over and over in my head, especially when you're 21. It's a different time. He was a little bit older than me, so then whatever. But now when I sing that song, I find that in different phases of my life, I'm not a passive person, but I wouldn't necessarily say I'm aggressive. Mm-hmm. And it takes me time to process through the events of my life. Major events take me a long time to process and work through. And so this song has been kind of a catalyst to process through difficult things with relationships with people, or a lot of things. It's helped me process through a lot of things. So now it's kind of been a mantra song for different seasons of my life. Sad, but it does help me process in its own way. So that's where it came from, and that's kind of what it means to me now.
Yeah, I think it's such a beautiful song. And you're right. When you wrote the song, it meant one thing. But now you're at a different stage in your life, and it could mean a variety of things.
Totally. Which I think for me is why I don't get tired of playing it. I think if it was something that was really specific to a certain season, which is fine. I think we grow and we learn and we mature and evolve, and that's a great thing. But for this one, it's been such a pinnacle moment for me. And I think it's wrong when I play it out at shows, people seem to connect to that one a lot. And they're like, I've been going through this and it's helped me so much. And every time someone tells me that, I feel sad because I'm like, you must be going through something, which sucks, but that's life. And that's my goal, is to let people know they're not alone. Like, as an artist, I just want people to know that no matter what you go through, it seems like you're isolated, like you're the only one. But most likely, the beautiful thing about it is that you're not, and that you don't have to feel alone. That somebody else has been through something similar, maybe, or something that they can empathize with. And so that's my goal, to let people know they're not alone.
Yeah. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about your lyrics is because they're so passionate and heartfelt and honest. And you're right. When someone comes up to you and they say, hey, that song helped me get through this time. And you're like, oh my God, so you're going through something difficult, but you're like not alone. Like, we're all in this together.
Yeah, you're not alone. I mean, like, thinking about like depression or like suicide or all these things where you just get into this place of like, I'm the only person that feels this. I'm the only person. And I think there's this factor of shame that's really isolating. So to know, if you can listen to a song and go like, I'm not the only one. Like, what's that song by Logic where he was like, I don't want to be alive. I don't want to be alive. Like, when I hear it, I was like, what the hell is this? Like, what is going on? But then I was like, you know what? This is going to be huge for somebody to know that they are not the only one that feels like that. So that's like, yeah, that's my goal. Because, I mean, imagine how much better you'd feel if you knew, like, I have somebody that gets it. Even if I don't know them personally, like, they get it. I know that somebody else has been through this and has gotten through it, like the other side. They've gotten to the end of this. There's light at the end of the tunnel. So that's like, that's the goal. That's the mission. So that means vulnerability, which sometimes is hard, and sometimes you don't want to share certain things, but I think that's what breaks down walls, even in conversation. You know, if you share something personal, you'll end up breaking a wall for someone to share something that they maybe wouldn't have shared otherwise. So I feel like that's like one of my callings and like duties in my life, is to be that person.
Yeah. And I think music is so powerful in that way. And someone actually just said something. Nina Ann Nelson said, thank you for helping me feel less alone, Christine.
Aw, thanks, Nina.
Oh my gosh, that's such a sweet thing to say.
I love her.
Yes.
Yeah. So sweet. Aw.
So I want to start at the very, very beginning, in childhood. So you were raised in the church, you started playing piano at 5, and then you started singing at 7. So bring us back to that time. What did music mean to you at such a young age?
So my dad he's from South America. He's from Colombia. So he came here as an immigrant in like his kind of mid-20s, early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So in Latin culture, Colombian culture, like, music is huge. Like, it's at every party, it's at every, like, they used to hire musicians all the time for like my grandparents' parties, and like, it was just a huge part of his life. It still is to this day. And so I grew up listening to like the most random music ever. Like, I'm that person that you're like, you gotta know that song. You know that song. And I'm like, no, I don't. And they'll keep singing, you know, people keep singing the chord and you're like, I really don't know it. So you can probably stop now. I'm that person. But anyway, it's fun because I get to learn new music all the time that everyone else knows. But he would play like random stuff like cumbia, Colombian music, or like polka, or like, oh my gosh, so many things. And so when I don't know why, but when I was 5, I was like, Mom, I just want to learn flute or piano, either one. And there was like a little piano store next to my church. So then I went there, I started taking lessons. I think I was 4 when I started, maybe, I don't remember. Obviously I don't remember. And I went in and the lady was like, she might be too young. Like, she's just little. And now I teach piano lessons. So I'm like, I feel it. Like, it's hard with 4-year-olds, but even 5-year-olds, it can be challenging. But she was like, I think she has an ear. Like, I think she can do the lessons. So I started taking lessons then, and then singing, I didn't really think much of it until I was in my church choir. They did like a big children's like production. It was really cute. Mm-hmm. It was at church, so everyone was like in certain like groups. Like, it was really cute. Yeah. And so I think I got a solo for that. I don't know. I think I was really outgoing. I'm outgoing, but that was like, I think I was a bossy, like loud, a lot child.
Yeah.
So I went out for the solo and I got it. And I think from then I just was like, I love singing. Mm-hmm. And then started singing and playing at the same time, because I think I was just learning both. Yeah. And then that was like the beginning, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it came into your early age because it means so much to you when you're like, oh my gosh, I think I want to start playing piano. And then you start singing and you're playing, and it's just like, it becomes that really healthy outlet for you.
Oh, totally. Big time. Even now, like sometimes I think with my voice, I've gone through a lot of ups and downs, like with vocal trauma. Like I've had vocal nodules, and I've just had a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
has happened. But with piano, it has always been such a place of expression for me when words are like not enough.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just can't find the words, and I'll just play and like kind of like release things and cry and just let it come out like for hours at a time, even to this day. Now it's been like, you know, you become an adult and life, you just get busy and then things build up. And then I have those times where I'm like kind of processing through. So piano has always been a really beautiful outlet for me, which is really cool. Yeah, but it's true.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Like, I envision you sitting at the piano and going through something difficult and like crying, but like playing. Like,
Literally.
I have this vision in my head.
It's real. It's a real, it's such real. I mean, that was me the other day, like literally like a couple weeks ago. I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm like overwhelmed or just feeling like whatever. And I'll just sit and play. And then maybe some words like will come out and maybe they won't. And sometimes I record it and sometimes I don't. But I think in order for like being an artist, an independent artist is so challenging in so many ways. And you have to be so have a level of self-belief, and sometimes I just don't have it. Like I just don't have it. So sometimes you just have to get in and do it and like remind yourself why did I move here? Why am I doing this? And this is why. Because it's been such a beautiful outlet for me. And if I can again like inspire other people to find that, or that's why I love teaching too. Like that's been such a beautiful way for me to like instill this means of expression for somebody else who maybe feels like, who knows? Some people can journal, some people sing, some people dance. But if this is your thing and I can help you find it, like that's so beautiful to me. So yeah, it's a true thing. And it's been the same my whole entire life, like since I was 5.
Yeah. Love that you teach piano too, because when I think of music in my life when I was younger, like I was, you know, singing and then I was like in chorus, like I think of those teachers from a young age and the effect that they had on my life. And I'm like, oh yeah, when I was 7 and I was like in chorus singing, and I remember like in the room, I remember the red dress she was wearing, and it's like,
yes, you never forget.
Years and years and years later, and it's so powerful what to bring to your life. So thank you.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's something that like has been a beautiful like, I don't know, I'm just really grateful that I can do that and that I have students that I can connect with, and that's been so beautiful. But you're right, those teachers are people you never forget. So then sometimes you like feel the weight of responsibility, like, oh my gosh, like I don't want this to be the end all be all for that person.
Right.
And then sometimes you have to be like, okay, like music isn't for them, that's not their thing. They did it for a period of time and it's all good. But that impact you can make is like nothing else. And I feel like super honored that like, especially with like my 7-year-old, it's like you just develop this really sweet relationship with them, and like it's been really beautiful because that was somebody for me. So for me to be able to do that is like, oh, it's really it's such a blessing, honestly.
So do you only teach children?
I teach adults too. I have like more like voice students that are adults and more kids that do piano. I think as an adult, it's easier to teach voice because your voice is a little more developed and stuff like that. But and then people don't want to learn piano as they get older. I don't know, it's different. But kids and piano, that's kind of been the thing. Yeah.
So are you taking new students?
I am. A few. Only a few. Yeah, it's not a full-time thing, but I am. A few.
Well, I'm just saying, if you are taking students, where can the people watching this right now talk to you about potentially taking vocal or piano lessons with you?
Just DM me. Instagram DM. That's the best way to do it.
Okay.
And I'll get right back to you.
Very cool.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I see this comment. You don't need vocal lessons, Jabron. You don't need them. He's so amazing, everybody.
How old were you when you first started writing your own music? Was it like something during childhood, or was it something like at Berkeley that you established?
It was, so when I was really little, like starting out, I would make songs up on the piano. And then in high school, I kind of started writing like a tiny bit of like worship music. I was so focused on singing. When you grow up in church, like you're singing a lot of, at least for me, my experience was singing a lot of covers. You're just like, you're singing a lot of the same songs. And as the church culture moves, you kind of follow the trend of the church culture. So that my church was the same way. I was like really, really lucky to have grown up with really talented musicians in Sacramento. Like, they're, and to this day, like, I admire them so much. And so I was really, really blessed and able to learn a lot from them. So we were just doing a lot of covers, like, of worship stuff, not really like original stuff as much. I wasn't involved in the writing. And then when I got to school, I don't even know what spurred it. I think I started kind of like just being more creative in like Pro Tools and Logic and things like that. So I started kind of like doing some of that. And then the songs started coming a little bit more. Like Dreams was early in like my writing. I wasn't writing a lot even then.
Oh, wow.
In my first or second, no, that was my last year at Berkeley. I had written a few songs before that, but I wasn't writing a ton. And now it's become like my favorite thing. It's got to be one of my favorite things besides like performing. Those two are like, it's so much fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it was later in life. I didn't start writing when I was young. Maybe I did. But I just don't remember. It wasn't like I wrote a song and like wrote out the lyrics. But definitely in college, it became more of a focus. Yeah.
So walk us through your creative process when you write a song.
I think it depends. For me, for example, Dreams, I think that was like a one-off. Sometimes songs all come at once. It kind of feels like inspiration. Like you have this moment of like a download of like the whole thing, pretty much. And then you're like, whoa, like, where did that even come from? Some of those songs feel like that, and then some of them you chip away at. So for me, I think I usually start with like a progression. If I'm just like, I'll just play something, and if it's inspiring, then I might go from there and come up with like, usually something that's happening in my life, I'll start writing about. Again, processing. I'm like, hey, like, what do I think about this? Or like, where am I at with this? Or has it come to a solution? So like when I'm figuring things out in my life and I've come to kind of like a point where it's a little bit more settled within myself, wherever I'm at, I usually can find inspiration to write about. Because you kind of have like a full circle. Like I've gone through this thing.
Yeah.
I've been through this and this and this, and now I've come kind of to a place where I can accept it and I understand it to a point. Other times it might be more in process. So that's two ways. Like one's just like download, then sometimes I'll play. Sometimes I'll hear like a word or like a lyric will come to me and I'll write everything out. Like I love words so much. Like I'm that person that like looks up the lyrics right away when I hear a song and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so good. Yeah, it's like just lyrics are so, they can just be so beautifully crafted and we say a lot of the same things, but finding a new way to say something is just so fascinating to me. Like how many love songs can we write, but we hear new ones all the time, or like heartbreak songs. Like we only have so many notes to play and so many notes to sing. Like how do people come up with new things? But I am such a lyric person that I'll write out like poetry almost and then set the melody to that. But I think mostly lately it's just been like I'll write out the poetry, kind of have like a progression in mind or kind of be playing and then kind of work it out little by little. But it's different every time. Collaborating is a different process. Like you want to like have room for the other person to give their insight and you want to bring your like melodies to the table and your ideas to the table too. So that can be different. But yeah, those are kind of the main ways. But it's fun because it is different every time. It's not always the same.
Yeah.
It should be cool.
Yeah. So as far as collaborating, do you like it? Are you not a fan? Do you prefer?
Oh my gosh. I love it. I really, really love it. Especially people that you really connect with and you're like, oh my gosh, ah! You like hype yourselves up because you're like, this song's amazing. I can't believe it. Oh my gosh, da, da, da. Like I think that is a really, really cool part of collaborating. I will say the downside with collaborating can be, for me, I'm not somebody who forces ideas. Some people are a little bit more like forthcoming and aggressive, a little more aggressive with their ideas. They get like really set into an idea, and I think as a collaborator, that can be difficult to navigate through when you want to like still maintain a good vibe in the room. You still want to maintain like this back and forth. But if somebody's really set in their ways, it can be difficult to kind of overcome that dynamic. So that's the negative side, but it's always worth the risk because you might find somebody that like you love collaborating with. Like my friend Ariza, he's like unreal amazing. He's produced, I think, all of my stuff except for Dreams that's out on Spotify.
Yeah.
And he's just like one of the most amazing people. But we have a friendship too. So it all plays into each other. But I learned so much from him and he makes room for me. And I always I have so much respect for him. Like,
Right.
it's really cool. We have a really good dynamic. So I really do enjoy it. When it's great, it's great. When
Yeah.
it's not, it's really like, ooh, yeah.
I totally
Yeah.
get it, because when you collaborate, you want to make sure like it's the yin and yang, right? Like he pulls things out of you that maybe you don't see and vice versa. And then you kind of just play off of that.
Exactly. And that is something that can only be created between these two specific people. Like if
Right.
if it was me and another producer, another writer, like we're not going to come up with the same stuff. It's like a very like fingerprint. Every song is like that. I mean, like it can only be created by those people. So
Yeah.
that can be really, really beautiful. And you know, we have like therapy sessions. Like I'll be like, oh my gosh, so and so did this, and
Yeah.
he's talking me through it. And you know, we've like processed through some of his stuff, but that I think takes time to develop to where you feel like you can
Mm-hmm.
really be raw and honest. But I think those are the times that you get those songs that people connect with, because they're
Yeah.
like, man, like I've never heard it said like that, or I just really connected with da da da. So I think, yeah, that's collaborating has been a really beautiful thing for me. I'm trying to do it more. Like I love meeting new people and
Yeah.
like just getting to know people and their thing. And so I've been like kind of like looking for more people to collab with. So that's been
I,
good.
I'm going to drop somebody's name that was just a guest on my show. His name is
Mm-hmm.
Zach Day. Do you know him?
Oh, good. Yes, he's amazing. I don't know him personally, but we've
Okay.
connected like social media.
Okay, because he literally, like, that was the second time he was on my show. And
Uh-huh.
talking about everything like that. He absolutely loves you, by the way. And he said, like, oh my God, it's so iconic that she's coming on your show. So you definitely need to hook up with Zach.
I do, because he really is amazing. I think he lives, where does he live? I think he lives in another state.
He's in
Yes,
Nashville.
that's why. I don't think we've never met, but we just connected over social media, which
Yeah.
is one of the most beautiful things about like the musician community on social media. Like when it's like we're connecting, like we're in there, which is really cool. So yeah, you're right. That's somebody I have to keep in mind because he's incredible.
Yes.
So
And you
good.
play guitar and you play piano and the songwriting and the emotion, like the rawness. I'm just like, this is like a match. I'm like a little music matchmaker.
Yes, you are. Seriously, I need to hit him up. That's great. Well timed too, because I'm really wanting to do that and write with more people and write for more artists and
Yeah.
just delve more into that because I love it. Like helping people is like one of my favorite things and my downfall.
Yeah.
So I think it can be in this like position if I can help somebody write something they love too, like that would be amazing. So that would be cool. Yeah, I have to reach out. Good idea. You are the matchmaker. We love it.
Yes, actually, I've never called myself that, but like, sure,
Today's the day. New title. Add it to your job description.
So I want to talk about your time at Berkeley. So for people who don't know, you attended Berkeley College of Music. So talk to us about your time there, because what an honor to be accepted in that school and be there, and then the alum network and everything else. So just give us some feedback on your time.
Yeah, it was so amazing. I grew up in Northern California, Sacramento, and it was the community I grew up in was really, really tiny. Super supportive. I felt really, really loved and supported, but I also just did not know much about the world. Again, super conservative Christian. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about I didn't know anything about anything. So when I went to school, I was like, I don't even know how on earth I got like the guts to even move across the country when I'd never even done anything like that. But getting there, I ended up meeting like one of my best friends to this day, like on the first day. His name's Tim. He goes by Violin Tim. He's like this amazing violin player. We met like the very first day almost. And then from there, I think, okay, yeah. So right before I went to Berkeley, I was singing a lot at the church and just doing a bunch of stuff. So I ended up getting vocal nodules and I had to have a surgery on my right vocal cord because I had a cyst. They removed the cyst. So right before I left, it was like a month before I left, I had the surgery and then I hadn't spoken for 2 weeks and then I have to go into school. So I was like terrified. Yeah. And I still had nodules technically, but the cyst was removed. I think from not talking, whatever.
Yeah.
All day I got to school, I was super intimidated. Like I was already like just nervous and like I just wasn't sure what I was getting into. And then moving along, I was so eager to learn and just do something outside of my comfort zone. And then you just start meeting people and connecting with people. And I think like meeting other people that had grown up in church and kind of connecting over that, and people, it's like 25% international. So I met a lot of people from other places, which was just amazing to get to know people from different cultures and different perspectives, because I never had that. Like my dad being an immigrant, yeah, like I was exposed to a little bit more, and I'm super grateful. Like it's interesting being like, I don't know, having one parent that's an immigrant and one parent from like Missouri. She's like Southern. My mom is very Southern. So to have that dynamic has its challenges, because you kind of don't know where you fall, but it's been beautiful because I feel like it's given me the opportunity to be open to different people from different cultures. So at Berkeley, that was like, so I learned so much about all different types of people, which I loved so much and has formed me a lot as a person. But musically, I learned more than I ever thought I would. Like it was just so beautiful. And the people, there are so many people that are extremely talented, and you can find that almost anywhere. Like in Los Angeles, you'll find so many talented people, but not everybody has. For me, I found people that are wonderful, amazing people of integrity, who care, who will they will help you out. They let you stay at I've found people that are just the most remarkable human beings and happen to be extremely talented. Like I'm like, you don't have to be this nice. Like, you're too talented to be this nice. I'm like, what? So that was really just so beautiful. And I was really lucky to get like a scholarship that paid for everything for me to go to school. So I really dived in and like did as much as I could, dove in. I really dove in. I was like, not sure if that was the right one, but I got to do a bunch of different things and be involved in a lot of ensembles. I did like the Pitch Stop, which is their a cappella group, and we traveled and we did gigs. So that was just such a beautiful experience for me. And I got to like meet like lifelong friends, like my friend Sam Fisher, who has like blown up recently. Like we were in a cappella group together, and he was able to like hire me to sing backgrounds for him.
Yeah.
Which was so amazing. It was just so beautiful to see like a friend that I love and I think is amazing actually succeed. And then it's inspiring for me too. And like, yeah, it was just so cool to be able to be there to just meet all those incredible people that I never would have met if I stayed in Sacramento. My life would look totally different. So I'm so grateful for the experience. It was so beautiful.
It seems so amazing, because you're right. You meet all these people all over the country, all over the world. They're all talented in their own right. And it's like you're kind of like in this, like, not clique, but you know what I mean? Like you kind of have a thing that you're like, we're all here at Berkeley and we all graduated from Berkeley and we all support each other, and they kind of, you never know where someone's career will take them. Like Sam is amazing.
Oh, unreal. And he's always been amazing. He's just always been ultra talented. And then he's such a hard worker that I see that, like, you know, keeping up with him and Aaron, like I'm watching like how hard he works and seeing it. And like, it's one of those things where people can say like, oh, it was overnight, or like, but no, he worked really hard to get where he's at. So I just feel really blessed to be able to support him, and like just more like so many friends that are just doing what they love. And I think another thing that's interesting is like Berkeley's a really unique experience. Like I don't think you live in the middle of the city. You're not in a dorm. Like it's just super unique. So then when you find other people that had that experience, you have that like connection. That's like, you get it because you did this and you did this ensemble, and you didn't get a regular degree. Like I don't know. It was just a really unique experience. You've been through those winters, like, you know, being in New York, like, oh my God, never again. I'm done.
Yeah. East Coast winters are horrible. Snow, cold, wind. It's like, I
was not prepared.
Yeah.
You grew up in New York?
Yeah, I grew up in upstate New York, Syracuse, like snow capital.
Oh my gosh, freezing to death. No.
And then like winters in New York, they're bearable, but like it still sucks.
It sucks. I'm like, how do people live here forever? I just could never, like, I just cannot. I'm such a California girl. I really am. I didn't think I was. I was like, yeah, I could do East Coast. No.
You're like, no, I don't like your winters.
I'm good. I'll just stay here with my little 60 degrees and my jacket, parka, even though I don't really need it. That's what.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that brings me to my next question. Why LA after school?
Well, I was gonna move to Nashville. I went on a Nashville trip. Berkeley does like a visit these different like music places. Yeah. And I went to Nashville and I thought, okay, cool. Like if I wanted to do Christian music, I could do that. I was never really that interested in doing Christian music for a lot of different reasons. I think it's really hard to find a unique lane in Christian music. Yeah. There's such a box, like there's such a box that's very limiting and only certain things are accepted for whatever reason. That's just what it is. Like you're either like gospel or you're like Christian contemporary, or like this kind of other box that's kind of like radio Christian music. So anyway, that being said, I was like, I think I could go there and like have some family there a little bit. Mm-hmm. Thought, okay, cool. Like there's kind of a pop scene here. I liked like how chill it was. Yeah. And then I was home for winter break, and my best friend at the time, she was visiting LA because she was going to move there. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, she flew to Sacramento with me. We drove down to LA, and it's close. It's like 6 hours from here. Mm-hmm. Sacramento, 6 hours from LA. I came down here. I dropped her off. She had like a meeting, and I was like, you know what? I think this is where I'm supposed to be. This just feels like it's going to be really challenging, but it feels like the right place. Yeah. And my dad was diagnosed with Parkinson's while I was in school. Mm-hmm. And so for me to live further away didn't really make sense. I just was like, I think I need to be closer to them. And that's been super valuable. Like after living on the East Coast, you know, so far from my family, right, to be able to live a little bit closer and kind of just be like an hour flight away, it made sense. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and then I think the pop scene here, the background scene, there's just so much different music here. Yeah. I wasn't even thinking about all this consciously. I was just like, wherever God wants me to be, like that's where I'm going to be. Mm-hmm. And I felt like this was it. And so that's just what it was. And little did I know, girl, it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge, but yeah, it's been amazing. Again, like those friends from Berkeley have been just ride or die. Like we've been ride or die for each other. I do not know where I would be if it wasn't for them. I don't think I'd still be in LA. Really? Oh yeah. Like this city is really isolating, and I think people will say that. They're like, when you move to LA, like everyone feels like it's lonely. Yeah. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's spread out or people kind of have their niches, and it is spread out. You might be in West Hollywood, you might be in Glendale, you might be, and it's a trek to get from place to place. Mm-hmm. And everyone's trying to survive. So I think there can be like kind of a lack of community. Whereas like in New York, I just hear that you might meet somebody at a bar, like you might be out and like have a conversation and strike up. LA is not really like that, at least in my experience. And so without them, I think it would have been too difficult for me. Like I just don't think I'd be here. And then we get each other work too. Like if I know like, somebody needs a drummer, I know one of the best people in the world and one of the best drummers ever. And she's my best friend, so I can vouch for her. You know what I mean? Like, and people do that for me. So I think that has been, actually, she just joined, Mish LA. She's like the most amazing. I didn't even know you were here, Mish. That's so funny. But like, that's the kind of stuff like where I'm like, man, like we need support when we're away from the familiar and in a new place. Like, especially here, it can be really hard. So I'm really extremely grateful that I was able to meet my friends, and they've made a huge difference in my life.
That's so awesome. I love to hear. So had you gone to LA before you moved there, or did you just say, I just feel it?
Well, like Sacramento, like you might like drive down, but like when you're like from that area, you're going to go to San Francisco as like the big city. Like that's where you're like, go check it out. And I loved San Francisco. And we came down here for like Disneyland. I wasn't even barely a human conscious person at that time, but I had come down to visit USC because I really wanted to go there and do their pop program. So I auditioned. I just, I feel like I just was like kind of just going. I wasn't thinking through my decisions at all. I don't know if you do when you're 18, 17, but I had spent a lot of time down here. I didn't know anybody really. Like I didn't know much at all. So it was kind of like, it was culture shock. Again, East Coast was culture shock for me. And then like moving down here, I was like, whoa, this is like, I'm not going to say it, like everybody is superficial, but there can be a very like vain vibe. Like people are kind of looking to see what they can do for you.
Yeah.
And if or not do for you, but if I can do anything for them, if I'm going to be beneficial for them to know, versus like a face to face, let me get to know you as a person. It can be very networky. That's really the word. It's not necessarily a negative thing. That's life. Like I get it, but it can be very hard to connect with people. And so moving here, it was a lot like a culture shock because I hadn't spent much time down here. It's far enough to where you're like, do I want to drive 6 hours? Like, not really. No. Now I do it all the time. But yeah, then it just wasn't a thing. So everything is very new, and it's such a huge city that things are still new. Now I love that because I can always do something different and try some new place, whatever. But it's hard. It really is a hard place to be. So props to all my musicians out there that are like still doing it because it's challenging.
Yeah, I think when you're a musician and you go to an LA or a New York, like you commit yourself 100% because if they say if you make it in New York or LA, like you can do it because it's not like you're in like a smaller city, like you're in like the two craziest cities in the entire
culture shifting cities. Like these are the places that like culture is literally happening here. Like trends are starting here. Like people are being like getting into movies here, and they're like, you know what I mean? Like there's so much that happens here that's so the height of our culture. So like, or like the beginnings of trends and things like that. So it is, yeah, you're right. It's super challenging. I'm sure you've had the same experience in New York.
Totally. It's like when you said about like people only want to talk to you if they can help you and vice versa. I totally know what you mean by that because I know that you're about like connection and genuineness and like truth. And you're like, so when you go to a city like that and you're like, okay, this person's just trying to see what they can get from me. It's like a very weird thing to think of.
Very strange because it's so outside of the way I think as a human being.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about that at all. In fact, like if I ever feel like I see somebody that I'm like even tempted to do something like that, I don't even approach them.
Yeah.
I like can't even, I don't want to ever go into a situation. And like you're gonna, you know, I was like adjusting to celebrity culture too. You see a celebrity, you're like, whoa, like you don't see them as a person. And now I'm singing backgrounds for different people. I'm like, oh, you're just a person, just like me.
Yeah.
So then you have a different means by which to connect to people, and you genuinely want to know, like, how are you? Like, how's everything going? Like, you just want to know how somebody's doing and be able to connect with them person to person. That's innate in human nature. Like, we want to have like connection with other people. So it's strange, like you're saying, like when somebody's like just talking to you to see what they can do, or it's like this manipulative feeling, which I understand that they're trying to make it work for themselves too, and I get it. But that's been such a struggle for me, and it still is sometimes. So then you get to know people and connect, and then you have genuine like, Christine's like such a kind person, you should have her do this or hire her to do this, or like like you end up building connection that way. And there's a lot of talented people, like there are, but that connection, I think also me just being myself has helped me too to be able to just connect with more people. And then I connect with like-minded people too. So that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so important to be yourself. And you touched a little bit about being around celebrities. So for people who don't know, you're a background vocalist. You sung with Andy Grammer, JoJo, Natasha Bedingfield, countless others. Talk us through the background vocalist journey. How did you get into it? And tell us where you're at with it now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That was something I always dreamed, like touring as a background vocalist. I dreamed of doing that. Like I was like, okay, music, I'm like gonna do singing, like that's my thing. That was like one of my dreams. So I started here. It was really just moving here and connecting with people. But I started here and I started doing wedding gigs actually. And then kind of just like making some money that way. Then you connect with different musicians, and being like I guess, educated like vocalist.
Right.
I can like, if somebody doesn't know the song, I can kind of give them the chords like on the spot, and that's kind of rare. Singers, we have a tendency or a reputation of being like not knowing what we're talking about, like just kind of being like, yeah, like a bit. Some singers don't know the keys to the song they're singing in. Totally fine, but in that like context, you need to know sometimes like what's happening. And so I think I kind of stood out in that way. And then just like started like doing more wedding stuff, and then you end up singing backgrounds. I always grew up singing harmonies in church. Like that was kind of just, you just learn. I started singing harmony in like 5th grade out of nowhere. I didn't understand it. I don't know anything. Like I didn't get it. I just started doing it. So then I was kind of used to like picking out parts, and you realize like, oh, like some people don't naturally, their ear doesn't naturally lend itself to picking out parts.
Right.
Totally fine too. Like, but it just is a different niche. So then learning that, like, okay, I can do this. Cool, I can actually do this. Then I started connecting with like a group of like Azusa Pacific people that go to college, and they're like a little further up, but it's a Christian school. So like being involved in like church stuff here, I met some people from there, and then kind of ended up just kind of doing like word of mouth. I did a few auditions. I haven't really done a lot of auditions. It's really been word of mouth and getting to know people. And I think I would say the wedding gigs thing was the biggest thing in connecting with different people and kind of like getting hired that way.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I started doing like a corporate gig where we sang backgrounds for like Mark McGrath, like the singer from Kansas, like these 70s rock, kind of like older artists, but they're amazing. Like that is such a crazy fun gig, but I'll sing backgrounds for like 6 different artists in one gig, which is wild, but you learned how to do it really quickly. And so then from doing that and then doing choreography, I ended up getting called through a mutual friend. Somebody suggested me again to like, hey, like reach out to Christine, see if she's free. I'm like sitting at a picnic like with a friend, and I get this call, and I'm like, a tour? Like, what? What's the tour? And then same day, I just was like, they're like, can you come in today? And I was like, I moved stuff around, and I went the same day. And then that was my next, I've been now singing with, this was for Andy Grammer since like fall 2019. So it's been 2 years now. The pandemic obviously slowed things down, but that's such an, and then as soon as I get there, like Andy comes out to greet me. Like I was just like so overwhelmed. Then you just like, call a million people like, I can't make it to this. I'll be gone for this and da-da-da. And then that was that. So that was cool. And then the other things have kind of been just like, again, word of mouth and just people being like, oh, like she's great, like hire her, and not really audition, which I feel super blessed. Like, and I don't, auditioning is scary, but I don't mind auditioning at all. Like I'm happy to do it. But I feel like that's been a huge blessing, just like getting to know people that believe in me enough and trust me enough to like put me on a gig like that and then just go. Because I didn't audition for Andy at all. I just showed up and they're like, cool. I wasn't even the right voice part, I don't think, because now we have 2 altos, which like, God bless Tia. She's like amazing. She's singing soprano. But yeah, so that was just, it's been a journey, and I wanted to do it for a long time. But yeah, I just feel like it was kind of just a slow build. I didn't know how I was going to get there, and you end up there. I don't know how. Crazy.
Yeah. And I think it's so amazing that you didn't have to audition, but people were just like, oh yeah, Christine, oh Christine, oh Christine. And so like normally like when you think of like New York, LA, you think of like, oh, I have to go and audition. I have to go
Totally.
like, oh, I hope I sound good. But they didn't even like need to audition you because the word of mouth was so strong, and that's very powerful.
Yeah, and I feel like so like it's very humbling and kind to be like, you trust me enough. Then you do feel the pressure too, because I also want to represent the person that like hired me. They like suggested me, they trusted me enough. I want to make sure they come off well, being like, okay, great, I can ask them again for a suggestion. And then I can have a good like professional, like you just want to do your best at all times, because you never know what's going to happen. Those wedding gigs, like if I showed up and didn't know the song or didn't know the music, like somebody that I'm playing with might play for another big artist, and then they're not gonna think of me ever again if I don't come in professionally knowing like. So it is word of mouth, and I am grateful, but I do like, it is hard work that I do feel like I put in the hours to be ready for, where I wouldn't have been ready at other times in my life. So I also believe in like timing, like it's set up. Like I wasn't ready for that like a year before that, but then a year later it was like, it was time. So it takes time, but be patient. Those of you that are trying to do backgrounds, just be patient, and it'll get there if you want it to happen. Just keep working hard.
And there's so much hard work that goes into it, like hours and hours and hours and hours and hours.
So many hours.
So many hours. And
Nursing is like 10-hour days for 2 weeks. And like, but it's so rewarding. It's just so much fun, and I love traveling, so that was like amazing. But yeah, it's all the prep work. That's why like that's why you get hired for that stuff. If you do the work and you're ready for it, and even if you're not, just work hard till you're ready. I guess that's the thing. Yeah.
So as far as touring goes, do you have any favorite venues or cities that you've played?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I really loved Atlanta. I hadn't really been to Atlanta much,
Yeah.
and I was like, this is such a dope city. Like people were really cool, really kind. It's really up and coming too. So there's like all these different like new restaurants and like new shops, and it was just that was really fun. Actually, was it Charleston? Charleston, North. Oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? No, was it Virginia? Charleston? Oh my gosh, I don't remember what state this is in, but it was like a very southern state. It was in a little city called Charleston, and it was like it was such a cute, fun little college town. We had so much fun. So that
Hmm.
was great. Venue wise, what was my favorite venue? Oh, there was a venue we went to in Seattle that was really beautiful, this really big, beautiful theater. Um, that was really great. It's kind of sometimes it's like a blur. Like I'm like, where was I? Like I don't know where I was or what I was doing, but those ones I really remember. Atlanta was like really cool, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I think I would come back here. It was really, really dope. Yeah.
I've heard great things about Atlanta, but I've never been because it's like it's a city, but it's southern, and it's like I heard it's real chill.
It's super chill, and there's like obviously great southern food. Oh my gosh, so good. And the
Yeah.
music scene is like kind of like there's some really talented musicians out of there. And I think that's kind of like popping up. So I think it's a good like place for musicians that are maybe coming out of Berkeley or like from other places to kind of get their feet wet and kind of get involved because there is a scene there. And there's not a scene in every city, but
Yeah.
those like Atlanta, Nashville, LA, and New York, obviously you have it there. So that was really cool to see. We went to like a jam. There were some really great musicians there. So that was fun.
I love that. So
Yeah.
then one of the most memorable moments of your career.
Oh my gosh. Great, great question. Most memorable moments. Oh yeah, okay, okay. I did a release show for my single Anywhere. That must have been 2018, I guess. Was that 2018? Yeah, I think so. Or 2019. And I was like doing a bunch of my original songs, and people were like singing the words back to me, like my
Yeah.
own words that I wrote, like literally. And they're like, Jim, it was just to have people know the words to your song and be singing it, or like, I don't know, or for me to be like, okay, I'm gonna do this song called Dreams, and they're like, we love that song. I'm like, what? Like that. I think the single release show, I felt so like loved and supported, and I just felt like that was a really, really beautiful moment for me that I don't think I'll ever forget. The band was amazing that I got to play with, and like it was just one of those shows that you just felt like so connected and so good. And it was like a stressful time in my life, but in that moment I was able to kind of let all that stuff go, which was really cool.
Yeah. I
It was
can only imagine what it's like to be on stage, sing a song I wrote, and then everybody comes back and like is singing with me. Like I feel like I would break down, like
That's how
completely.
I felt. That's how I
Oh
felt.
my eyes out.
I was so flabbergasted, and like especially when you play gigs a lot, you're like, yeah, people are gonna know my songs. It's totally fine. I'm not even thinking twice about it. I'm like, I hope they like it. I hope they check it out. I'm not thinking like, oh yeah, you're gonna know it.
Right.
Then for that to happen, I was like, oh, this is so crazy amazing. It was just so I felt so loved and supported and grateful and humbled and all of those overwhelming emotions all at once. It was amazing. That was beautiful. I got to do another single release show.
Oh, you have to. Like,
I know, I do. Pandemic stuff is so weird that it's hard to plan one, but
yeah,
make it
because
happen.
like, some people are doing shows, but then like other people are like, we're not touring for 2021.
I
And
know.
hopefully, in a couple months, we'll be kind of back to normal. I don't know.
Girl, it's like so impossible to tell because for a while I was like, woo, we're good. The vaccine is amazing. And then it was like, no, there's breakthrough cases. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's been like, I think in this midway, like, I think people are kind of teetering on the edge and kind of like waiting to see how it goes. So for me, I just know like if somebody came to a show and got COVID, I just would feel horrible. So it'd have to be outdoors. Luckily in LA, you can do something outdoors like all year round. So I'll
Right.
probably do something like outdoors if things don't. Depending on if things stay as they are now, I think outdoors would be okay. But yeah, I gotta plan that.
Yeah, like a park thing or like a drive-in.
Backyard, like that would be so cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
just like cute that people can come, and
Yeah.
that's been really amazing for me. Like being inside for a year and then being able to go to like a backyard show or an outdoor thing. That's been really amazing. So I hope I can do something like that.
Yeah. Have you ever done a so far show?
Mm-mm.
Really?
I've wanted to because it seems really amazing.
Yeah.
And then I've had a few friends like do them. And so that's something I really want to get into. Those shows look so cool.
Because the thing is, people, they perform in all these random places. And I think with LA and like backyards and this and that, like I feel like you can utilize outdoor space so much more than like a New York, because New York, there's no such thing as outdoor space. It's
Right. You have like a rooftop, maybe that would probably be the thing.
if you're lucky. Not everybody has a rooftop.
Right. Yeah, sure. True. Oh my gosh. That's such a wild city. There's no place like New York. None.
It's
None.
crazy. It is crazy.
Yeah, it seems crazy. Yeah, but here you're right. There is totally options for that. And now I think so far as are kind of starting back up. So
Yeah,
that's a possibility. I need to like reach out to them.
definitely.
It's always weird being like, hey, let me play. But
They
yeah.
would love to have you too.
I
Like,
hope so. I hope so.
I know a lot of people doing so far shows, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing the so far show here." So they are coming back up. It just kind of depends, like where in the country you are, because
Right.
some are bad in other parts of the country.
Right.
COVID.
Yeah. Well, I think California's pretty good. I
Yeah.
haven't looked. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm not even gonna get into that. I just gotta keep living my life.
totally, totally.
Yeah.
So tell all the beautiful people right now watching, how can they follow you on social media? Plug all the social media platforms.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I forgot to get my Spotify link, but definitely follow on Spotify because that is going to be the place that we release new music. My blinds are, there's a nice little breeze going. But yeah, that's where we're going to have like new music and new releases, which is ready. It's just been like time. Social media would be here on Christina Noel Music. Those two are the main places. That's the best place to keep up with me, Spotify and Instagram.
Mhm.
TikTok, I'm not in there yet, but I'll let you know when I am. I've got it together. I have a plan.
Yeah.
I have to actually execute it, but this is the best place to really keep up with all the news, and
Yeah.
I can this one. So yeah.
I think you're perfect for TikTok because you do small little video clips. So it's like it's easy because you only really need to do like a 13 to 15 second like clip and then cut it.
Totally. You know what? I have to fight my perfectionism. That's why even I'm gonna shut this off. There's a dog barking, but I think that's been. I am as an artist, as a person, I'm very perfection doesn't exist, but for some reason, I think that I have to be perfect.
Right.
It's not a real thing, but this like illusion of perfection is something that I really struggle with. So even in videos or like I don't know, performances. It's hard for me to be happy with something, but with the video, it's hard because I'm watching the video back and I'm like, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. And so half the time I just go like, forget it. Like, I'll just post it. Like, screw it. Just put it up. And then you end up, and every time, like, people are like, I really connected with this. This is so beautiful. Like, so I think for me, it's a really good practice in just letting go of perfectionism. That doesn't really exist. Like, it's all emotional expression. That's the idea. Don't get caught up in the details. So you're totally right. It's that easy. It's just that I need to just let go of that part of myself.
Honestly, I'm telling you, like, I just got into TikTok pretty recently, and like, I'm not a musician, so like, what am I gonna offer, right? But like,
who knows?
But the thing is, yes, you do record something and you record it like 13 or 14 times, but honestly, it should be the first or second take, because even if you mess up or something, people are like, "Oh, she's real." But like, if you always look perfect, like your hair is perfect and this is perfect and that's perfect, and you know, like, who cares? Like, maybe you're saying something and then you burp in the middle and you leave it in.
Right, because people relate to that because we're all real, like not like posing and all. Like I love like beautiful photos and getting ready for something. Like that's so much fun, and it can be such a like self-esteem boost. But when it comes to that kind of stuff, you're right. Like people want the real thing, and that's who I connect with the most. Like people that are just themselves in the moment. Like it's not perfect. Then also when you record something too many times, it becomes like robot. Do you notice that? Like when you're trying to get something right, it's like
I totally notice that, and that's why I
do
do the first or second take. Like sometimes I stumble over words, but for the most part, like I want it to be in the moment. I don't want this to be like the eighth take of it, because then you're right. I sound very robotic, and I'm like,
right.
I'm not being genuine. Like I sound phony.
Right, exactly. But you don't mean it. You just said it so many times that you're kind of like zoning out now. Focused on like the things.
Totally.
Dude, story of my life. We just have to get past it. And then you're right. I look back and I'm like, at the second take that I kept, I'm like, that was the one. Yeah. Why am I doing this 1,000 times? Just let it go.
I know.
It's a constant battle. I've actually started random, but I've started painting. Like
Cool.
I bought a few canvases and I started painting because I think with painting, like you might like mess up, but
Yeah.
it doesn't exist. So for me to just be like, this painting is done. It
Yeah.
doesn't look perfect to me, but that's perfect for me. It's been a really good exercise to let go of that like perfectionist thing in me.
Mhm.
That's like has to be this. So that's been like a cool exercise. Just trying to find ways to get, work through it.
Definitely. And I
Yeah.
think being an artist and painting, like if you showed your final project to someone, they'd be like, oh, that's so beautiful. And then you'd probably be like, wait, but like I had that thing over there and I kind of tried to mess it up, but they wouldn't see that.
They would never see it. And it's the same with performances. Like when you sing, and I'm like, oh, like I was flat here, or I forgot the words here. They're like, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Majority of the time, like 90% of the time, unless it's somebody that knows me really well and can tell, like, oh, you were nervous, like this note was, if I'm looking for like critical feedback, like people will. But
Yeah.
most of the time, people don't notice. They just want to be there and be in the moment. They're not trying to criticize you. Like, that's not the idea. But I will say at Berkeley, that was kind of like, that could be the vibe. Like, we're hard to please. Like, we're hard to please and we're setting technical things.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the technical things and then you're wanting people to give you that like verbal response and sometimes they don't. And then you're like, ah. So getting past that has taken a while. I've been graduated for a while, but I think sometimes I still am in that like zone of like, it has to be this, has to be this, but people don't care.
No.
They just want to feel, they just want to forget their life and be there in the moment and connect with you and you connect with them. And music is so beautiful and spiritual and powerful that like,
Yeah.
that's what they want to experience. They want to just like get out of that for a moment. That's what I want. So I get it. Yeah.
Honestly, it all comes back to the music and just appreciate good music.
Yeah, totally. Totally. That they don't have to think that they can just like relax. They feel safe with you. They can just vibe out and just enjoy themselves. That's what they want.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So how can people watching this right now support you as a musician? What can they do?
I think the best thing is to stream the music, listen to it, share it, put it on your playlist. That's been like that's really helpful. And then I think, what was the other thing I was going to say? I just totally blanked out. Oh, purchasing music on like iTunes. I know that's not like a thing, but if you have like $2 and you want to support like artists or like artists like me that are independent, that is one of the best ways to do it because it really helps us out just a little bit. Promoting stuff, like when we have things, just resharing it. That stuff is beyond helpful. So it's little ways that we can support each other. I would say pre-saving a song. I post about this a lot, like when artists have songs, just pre-save it. It takes like literally 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Click it, and that lets people like Spotify know like, oh, this has like some like backing. People are excited about this. Let's like push it a little bit. So that's really, really helpful. Those are the best ways, I think. Yeah.
And it's literally just a click. Like you like it, you share it, you say a quick comment, you share it on your story and say, oh my gosh, like you should hear this cool song. You never know who could see it. You just never know.
Oh, exactly. And everybody has their own group of people that they connect with, their hometown, wherever the country they live in. Like you have your own connection. So when you share that, you're able to help like other people like get their music out there. And I think for me, like I'm looking for people that love my stuff. Like if you love my stuff and you hear it, like that's so cool to me. I hope I find more and more people that really love the music itself. Not to like try to like cater everything to a certain group of people. I don't think for me that's not really my goal, but my goal is to like find people that do love the stuff and do connect with it. So every time somebody shares something, it is just like so helpful and so meaningful, and I appreciate it so much. Yeah. Thanks everybody. I'm like, I've been neglecting the comments, but thanks everybody. This is so nice.
Joe says, Christine, a vocalist, go buy her music. Yes, go buy the music streaming.
Thank you, Joe. And thank you, Brandon. I hope you're still here. I don't know, but thank you. Yeah.
Christine, that's all the questions I have for this evening, but you're going to perform for us. Do your thing.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay. So speaking of dreams, your quote, I'm going to play dreams. get out of my mind. Get out of my heart. Could you let me unwind? 'Cause I can't seem to shake this, and I can't move again. I've been trying so hard to think that I'm not choking on what you say. Well, you can keep on your and you can keep on your time. Yeah, you can keep on your regret. Keep on your pride. Yeah, 'cause enough I say this, and now if I the only one who's choking on the words you say.
I just want to read some of these comments because people
Oh gosh.
things. Brandon Paul says, my favorite song ever. Marami, Joe, Matthew Jacobs. Marami says, so beautiful.
Oh.
Chills. Cobain Ivory says, captivating. Guys, thank you so much.
Nice. Thanks, everybody.
Yes.
So sweet. I appreciate it so much. So I'm gonna do a new one that's not even recorded yet.
Yay.
I wrote it during the pandemic. My grandfather passed about a year ago, so July 24th last year. And I think going through everything, like with the pandemic, I just felt like such a, and losing him, I just felt like, you know, you grieve and that's life, and it will always be a part of my life, the grief. But I think the beauty of it was that I was able to appreciate the time I had with him and appreciate being able to go outside. And then you appreciate like being able to do a gig now and be able to get out and sing and travel. Like I just had such a, and I still am feeling like such a gratitude for the things that I do have. And So this song really came from a place of gratitude. Doesn't really have a title yet. I guess it would be Nothing Like Losing It All. That's what we're gonna call it for now. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna do a little attachment at the end. Everyone's gonna know the song, but yeah. Anyway, here we go. Breathing my oxygen into my lungs, savoring each breath like it's gonna be my last one. Closing my eyes, feel the sun on my skin, soaking it in as the heat starts burning, and I cherish it. See, there's nothing like losing it all. Nothing like losing it all. Nothing like losing it all to begin again. Losing my words in a deep conversation. I forget where I am and the hours passing. I hear that song, the tears start welling. Let them roll down my cheeks like glitter. Oh, the shimmer. See, there's nothing like losing it all. 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 Watch the pieces of your former life fall. Nothing like losing it all to begin again. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. I'll say it's alright.
Yes, that's so beautiful. And when you sang "Here Comes the Sun" and the sun was on your face, I was like getting chills because I was
Oh
like,
my gosh, I didn't even realize.
"That's cool." Your face, I was like, "Woo!" I was like chills through my entire body. So thank you. Tom Sosi says, "Love it. You sound like an angel." I completely agree with that. Carrie, Brandon, thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you have time for some questions?
I do.
Beautiful.
Yes.
So if any of the wonderful people in this chat right now have questions for Christine, feel free to put them in the comment section below.
Questions.
Yes. What song do you wish you wrote and why?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. But my favorite song, I would never even dare say I could write something like this, but Fix You by Coldplay is like,
Oh my God. Yep.
I just cannot believe how beautiful and iconic that song is. It's just so beautiful. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with that song. I will say Orange Magic by Julia Michaels on her new album.
Yeah.
That's really, I love that song too. I'm like, man, I wish I wrote that.
Yeah.
One more is what's it called? Caroline Polachek.
Mm-hmm.
So hot you're hurting my feelings. It's
Oh,
so cute. I love it. I'm obsessed. She's great. But yeah, I wish I wrote that one. That was amazing.
so with Fix You by Coldplay, does that song make you cry?
Sometimes it does, but mostly it makes me feel, again, not alone. Like, I think that's what it is. I'm like, man, like, he put words to a feeling I never thought I could describe.
Definitely.
That's what it makes me feel like. I'm like, oh, I feel like known when I
Mm-hmm.
hear that song.
Definitely.
I don't usually cry to it. I have like my crying playlist, but that's not on it. That one, it makes me feel like seen and known and like, oh, it's just so beautiful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you pride yourself on being truthful and genuine and honest. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I think for me, I have never been able to hide my emotions,
Mm-hmm.
but I do struggle to how do I say this? I've never been one to hide my emotions, and I find that I just love connecting with people so much. New people, people I've known forever. Like, I think I find that because I'm not somebody who, I don't know, I've had to go through a lot. I'm trying to put this in a way that like makes sense. I've gone through a lot of guilt and shame in my life growing up in such a religious culture.
Yeah.
Which I still like. There are things I love about like the way I grew up, but there have been some challenging things that I've had to overcome. And so for me, an active way for me to fight shame and guilt in my life is being very upfront and honest
Yeah.
about things I've been through. Like, even with people, like, to a fault, like I can be a little bit too trusting, but I find that those moments that I've been vulnerable, other people can then come out with stuff that they're like, I've never said this to anybody before. I don't know why excuse me, I don't know why I'm telling you this. And I'm like,
Right.
well, like, those are the moments that I feel like you feel like I've like been put on this earth for that reason, for you to be able to share the things that you need to share, that you need to get off your chest to somebody you may not even know. So I
Yeah.
think those moments have been so valuable to me that it shapes who I am. And I think I fight constantly my like need, that like perfection thing. I have to fight it all the time. Again, it doesn't exist. I don't know where that comes from, but
Yeah.
in fighting that, I try to be very flaws forward. Like, no, I'm just a person. I
Right.
have my stuff. Like, I did this wrong. I did this wrong. No, not always. I'm not gonna say like I'm the first one to admit that I did something wrong. I'm not perfect by any means, but
Yeah.
I do try to say like I know I'm like I have my stuff. I really do. It's not an excuse, but it's to say like it's okay if you have your stuff too. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's been the thing, and I think another thing that's happened in a culture that's very in LA, that's very like appearance focused.
Yeah.
When you meet somebody with yourself, when you are able to connect with somebody with the truth of who you are, it brings out the truth of who they are. They can relax because they're like, cool, I don't have to pretend, like I'm good. I can take a breath and like just chill out and be myself, and you're not going to judge me. You're not going to see me for whatever. Like, I can be me. And then you connect and you form a bond, and that bond becomes something way more valuable than a networking opportunity for me or for that person, whoever. So that's kind of been the thing. I think that's shaped me. It must have been LA, I guess. I never really thought about it, but it's been being here.
Yeah. I think that's so awesome because it's like a lot of people struggle with being genuine. Like, you come across LA all the time and they're not genuine.
Yeah, from their own sense of insecurity. There's so much pressure being here. It's
Yeah.
not like, and I had to learn, like, this does not come from a malicious place. This is not somebody trying to like
Yeah.
fake me. They feel insecure. They have their own stuff. So do I. So I found that if I don't lead with my insecurity, and I might have it, and I have to live with that and work that out on my own time, but I'm not going to lead with it and then make other people have to react to my insecurity. Let me take responsibility for it. Try to put it on the back burner for now until I figure it out, and meet you with vulnerability, because that's an icebreaker. Then you feel like, okay, cool. Like with Christine, I know I can just be myself. She's not going to judge me. Like, I can just be me. If I don't have any money, it's cool. Like, if I feel this way, I did this. I'm having a really hard day because A, B, and C. It's cool. Christine understands. She gets it, and she's going to accept me.
Yeah.
And yeah. And that's not something I necessarily grew up with too. Like, I've had a lot of pressure to be this person. So for me to offer that to people when I didn't always have it, with certain people I did, but there was a lot of pressure. So now when I can relieve other people, that's been a really, really beautiful and fulfilling thing for me. So
Yeah, that's so powerful, because even in the short time that like I spoke to you before this live, I was like, oh my God, I feel like we've known each other.
yay, me too. Totally same. I was like, okay, good. It's gonna be fun.
You're like, okay, she's not weird. She's gonna be.
Well, you never know. I never thought you were weird, but I was like, who knows? Like, if we don't connect, like, whatever, that's normal. But I'm so happy that we did, and you're so amazing. So thank you so much. It's been so fun.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. So I guess my last question for you would be, who would you like to collaborate with?
Oh my gosh, there's so many people. I would say Muna. I love them so much.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm obsessed with their music. That would be like a dream collaborate. That would be a dream. Chris Martin, obviously. I love John Mayer. I'm throwing out people that are like dreams, but those are like the dream people, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
I could definitely see all of those, because like Chris, he's a pianist, vocalist, fix you, all that stuff, emotion. John Mayer, I mean, guitar, piano, like, yes.
Genius. Lyricist for the gods. He's amazing. Amazing.
Yes. Yeah. So, any final words for the room, Christine?
Oh my gosh. I guess I would say follow me on Spotify. That would be really helpful, as I do have new music coming out. We just don't have the date set yet, but that would be so helpful. And thank you guys for being here, my people, my friends. I appreciate you. And thank you, Ashley. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for like just being so open, and for reaching out, and for your patience, and just appreciate you so much. Yeah.
Yes, Christine, thank you so much for coming on my show and being so honest and vulnerable and sharing your beautiful music. And guys, go stream the music, buy the music, follow Christine on Spotify, follow her here. She has new music coming, and stay safe. I was going to say have a great weekend, but we're not at the weekend yet. I mean,
we got a little ways to go. We're close. We're getting there.
We're almost there, but it is September, so this year has been flying by. It's crazy, right?
Truth. Oh my gosh, insane.
So guys, if you don't already, please make sure to follow Christine and buy and share and stream the music. And if you love this conversation that I had with Christine tonight, I have several more to come, because this is a show where I interview incredible musicians just like Christine. So make sure to follow me. I'm Ashley Live here on Instagram, and
Ashley,
110th episode.
Wow.
So, I know.
That's to be commemorated. Congrats. Huge. Yeah, it's amazing.
I know, it's crazy. Like I told you earlier, it's like every time I do these, it's like going on a first date.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is so nerve-wracking. That's way too many first dates. Way too many. Oh my gosh.
Thankfully, most of them have gone relatively well. So
amazing. God bless. May it continue.
Yes. So guys, thanks so much for hanging with us tonight. Like I said, please follow Christine. Please follow me, and support good music in whatever way possible that you can. Have a great night. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.